ranking AFL midfields with Caden MacDonald. Here we go, Dos. We're ranking true midfielders today, so not really ruckmen or wingers, although if we're splitting hairs, we will take that into consideration. Let's get into it. Okay. When you think best midfields in the comp, who are you going with?
Well, the mind does wander to the red and the blue, but we won't start with their own teams.
Nah,
we'll start somewhere different. I think we'll go the Blues to kick things off. Man,
good call.
Big-bodied, contested, animal type midfield. Cripper's almost like leading the Brown though at the moment at this stage of the year, so it'd be hard to go past the Blues.
Depth as well. Yeah. I mean, Chera, Silky as they come, Sam Walsh, one of the best young stars in the comp.
The thing that's going to be hard for us is every AFL midfield is good.
Yes.
So I think it's going to be hard to put some in the paw, but you want to be ruthless today.
For sure. That's why we've sort of got like 3 tiers of like positive tiers.
Yeah.
So I feel like we just got to go to a polar opposite. When you think worst midfield in the comp, who do you go to?
Yeah, I'd say Adelaide's one of the worst midfields in the comp. I'm so sorry for Crom
Massive. I feel like without ranking, they just don't have any real flair in there. Jordan Dawson, very good player, but I feel like every club has at least one Jordan Dawson in their midfield.
Yeah.
I rate that, and I'm glad you made that call because that's ruthless, and we're chucking the Crows in.
Well, Jordan Dawson, I really like. Rankin hasn't quite settled in the midfield yet. Saligo is going to be a star. And then, Laird's he's played his best footy at half-back.
You look at the performances of teams this year as well, and Adelaide have been in very poor form this year. So they go in poor. We could do our own teams now, I reckon. Get them off the board.
Let's go the Dockers.
See, I look at the Dockers. The midfield performances this year have been incredible. Yeah. Like I'd gather around like Cripps, Hewitt.
They probably outworked the Blues.
Yeah, 100%. Dogs weren't an issue. Fife and Sarong dominated Bontempelli.
You want to put them in elite?
Of course I do, and I'm going to do it.
Really?
I think so. I wouldn't prefer any other 2 midfielders than Caleb Sarong and Hayden Young in my team in the comp.
Oh, I don't know if Hayden Young's got that league-wide respect just yet. Sarong certainly does. Brayshaw does. I think from a biased Victorian standpoint, it feels like Fife's a little bit old, and it feels like
you got 37 touches on the weekend, Dos.
Hayden Young's not quite there yet. I'd put him in very good.
All right, that's fair.
But we can shuffle at the end.
Very good is fair. All right, D's, you want to put him in elite?
Oh, they're bloody elite if I'm... I think they have to be. Is that Tom Sparrow?
I've got Tom Sparrow in there.
Oh, yeah, because Gussie's gone.
Yep.
Oh,
that knocks him down to solid, I'd say.
That top 3 is the best top 3. I think only Port can really rival it. That top 3 is better than Cripps and Walsh.
Yeah. How have you rated Oliver this season, though? If we're going off this season, and Sparrow as well.
I suppose he hasn't got 4 All-Australians and 4 BNFs this season. Yeah, he hasn't had a great season because he's injured his hand and had a bit of a pre-season.
Very good.
Elite. They have to be elite. I think they have to be elite.
All right. Well,
unless it's this season.
Well, it would be interesting.
I'd love to know the numbers this season, though, still.
Well, you guys have your say in the comments. I'd probably go very good.
Fair enough. I'll concede very good.
Yeah. In front of Freo or behind Freo?
In front of Freo.
We beat you last year and dominated you in the clearances.
Come on. We're beating Freo.
They're even. You mentioned Port Adelaide there. I think that's a great shout to chuck them in elite. Yeah.
Chuck them up.
All of their midfielders complement each other really well. Like Rosie, Butters, and Torn Francis all bring something different.
Yeah.
Sprinkling a Brownlow medalist and Travie Boak in there. Willem Drew, just the dog. As good as it gets, I reckon. Chuck them right up there. Let's go to West Coast because they've been absolutely garbage for a few years, but I would say their midfield now is very good.
Man, if we're going like right now in the AFL, it probably is, but I see Tim Kelly as like, he's been B for a while. Like he was at A at Geelong, has been B for a while. Elliot Yeo sort of dropped down. Ruben Jinby's super young. And then Harley Reid not being there on the weekend made them look like
that's true.
Very poor midfield.
All right, so not very good. Solid, average, poor.
I'd say solid.
Yeah, we'll go solid.
With Harley Reid and with Kelly and Yo in really good form. Like I know they've been really good this year. I'd say that's probably dragged them up to solid.
Yeah, good call.
I want to see it consistent though.
When you think of an average midfield, I think that screams Essendon.
There's going to be some people out there that think that Essendon are pushing for the top sort of echelon. I'm sort of the same. Like Darcy Parish's numbers are elite across the park, but in my head I go, Darcy can get his 35.
Yeah.
Zach Merritt's a bona fide star.
Very good. He is.
And then who else have you got in there?
Durham.
Looks like Devon Smith from here.
We got Sammy Durham and Jai Caldwell in there.
Jai Caldwell's very good. Archie Perkins is a star as well, but they're like C plus B stars.
Yeah.
They're not quite A. I think that's probably a fair call, but some would argue that Merritt and Parish are two of the best mids in the comp, and that would drag them up a bit.
When you say gut running, Darcy Parish isn't a player that comes to mind for me. Jai Caldwell, he's a polished player, but again, probably a C plus B in this point of his career.
Would you say they're better than West Coast? I'd probably say they're better than West Coast.
I'd probably prefer West Coast midfield, to be honest. I'm chucking Essendon in average.
Nice.
Yeah, be cool.
I fought hard, Bombers fans. I fought hard.
Bombers fans are going to hate me.
They hate everyone.
Let's go to...
Look at North. Look how young North are. That looks like the best midfield in the comp in 2028.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Davies, Uniac, Sheasel, Lazaro. Hang on.
Wow.
Where's like McKercher and Jai Simpkin and...
Yeah, look, I just went off clearances, disposals.
Left them in the VFL.
I didn't really know who to put in for North because they sort of have, I don't know.
Yeah, so, well, all those players do play mid, but Jai Simpkin would be in there.
Yeah, true.
Is McKercher a mid yet? Maybe not.
Sheasel should be a midfielder, I reckon, but they always just tend to play
Sheasel's not even... Oh, Wardlaw. Yeah, I reckon Wardlaw, Sheasel, Uniac, and Simpkin in a few years is the best midfield in the comp.
But they're just names, and the performances haven't been good for the last 3 seasons. So I think you have to put them in poor, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And if you want to argue with that, come at me.
Jeez, poor Roos, they can't get off the bottom of any table.
Let's go.
All these mids remaining are good.
Yeah.
Besides Hawthorn.
Besides Hawthorn. Where would you put Hawthorn's midfield? You got Jai Newcombe, who was a mid-season pick. James Warple, who just screams C+. Mitchie Ryan, also known as Cam McKenzie in there. And then Connor Nash, the Irishman. They've been getting dominated
Newcombe's
this year.
really good. But he's been poor this year, if we're going on this year. Warple has won a BNF and he's gotten back to that form at times, but he went missing for a couple of years there. And then Nash, to me, is, a good average mid, and Mackenzie's not quite there yet.
They're just filling the spots, aren't they, really? Poor?
Probably poor.
Yeah.
I was saying to Drew's, like, in an AFL environment, every midfield's good. Like, there's sometimes, Melbourne will come up against an Adelaide or a Hawthorn and they sort of hold their own in and around like the stats. But we're being savage here, and I can't believe we've got 3 in the poor, but it sort of makes sense from my point of view.
That game against Gold Coast, the Hawthorn players just didn't want to put their head over the ball. They weren't hard at it. And Sam Mitchell was very critical in his post-game that
they don't work.
They don't have the minerals. The Hawks have struggled to get a good midfield together ever since the flag years, I feel. Like, they've got rid of Tom Mitchell. They've got rid of Jaeger O'Meara. And they're still sort of trying to put the pieces together. So I'm happy to put them in poor. Sorry, Hawks fans.
I really like the Lions midfield.
Yeah. Performances this year. Lockie Neal's been getting pushed around a bit. Hasn't been at his best.
Been flopping a bit as well.
You know who has been good? Cam Rayner.
I love Cam Rayner. I commentated him at TSC Cup Radio in like 2015, and I gave him the 3 votes, and I was like, and it was his bottom age as well, but he was just incredible. He took hangers and like he was at half forward. And I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, very good.
McCluggage is coming home. He's not signing.
Yeah, could end up in an Essendon or maybe a Hawthorn could use
Saints
him.
are after him apparently. And then Josh Dunkley, he's just as consistent as it gets as an AFL player.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, I think very good. A tough one was Richmond because they've had so many injuries this season. I don't even know who to put in their midfield. I've put Taranto, who's injured. Hopper's just pinged a hammy.
Yeah.
Liam Baker's probably having to run through there, but he can play anywhere, Liam Baker.
I love Liam Baker.
And then Jack Graham. Where do you see Richmond's midfield, Doss?
Run of the mill.
Yeah.
Pedestrian. Nah, I don't know where I must have got that word from David King. It could go poor.
Top of poor, I reckon. It's like below average.
Yeah. It is below average.
Yeah. So you're going at the top of poor. God, we're finding some poor midfields here without any hassle. Let's go to the Premiership midfield. DeGoey, Dacos brothers,
Oh, wow.
and Scotty Pendlebury. That's got to be right up there.
Yeah, it's elite. How have they been going this year?
Yeah. Josh Dacos hasn't really been making massive waves, has he?
I feel like we're missing one. I feel like, is Crisp in there?
Lipinski,
We might not be.
Tom Mitchell.
Yeah, Tommy Mitch. It's either very good or elite.
Look, they're the premiership winning midfield. I feel like once they're all sort of in form, they'll be right back. I think Collingwood could still win the flag, to be honest, this year.
But I'm looking and I go DeGoey, Dacos, Pendles, Track, Viney, Clary. It's flip of the coin. And if we haven't cracked elite,
Yeah, that's true.
but they have to crack elite,
Very true.
I think. Now, everyone watching would say the Western Bulldogs is an easy one. That's an elite midfield if we've ever seen it, because name-wise, they are as good as it gets.
Yep.
But they've just never really functioned the way everyone thought they would. Ever since Treloar came over, they've just struggled with their mix, and they had to kick Dunkley out. That's how troubled it was.
And they got absolutely bossed at Optus against Freo on the weekend. It's crazy to think like a player that, like Sarong, 175, can go toe-to-toe with Marcus Bontempelli and outplay him.
Yeah.
Bont, one of the best players in the comp, but always seems to have to put this midfield on his back to win games.
Yeah.
McRae was in the VFL a couple of weeks ago. I'd probably say the Dogs have a solid midfield.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
That's going to get the comments going. That'll get them going. There's people out there that believe it's the best. Like Libber and Bont, two of the best. But I guess if we're going down the order,
Well, you'd probably say Treloar's pretty good, but does it translate?
yeah.
How does it function as a unit? And it's probably not even on the midfield. It could be on the coaching. But for output and performances, we're just going to have to chuck the Dogs in solid. Geelong, interesting one. How do you rate Geelong's midfield?
So by name, it's poor. It's a really poor midfield by the caliber of people that are in it. But you've been talking about function, and it functions well enough. It's not. It literally hasn't been ripping the comp apart, their midfield. It's actually been a real sour point in their side, but they have an elite defence and elite forward. So they're winning games for fun, and I can't believe they're 7-0, those bastards. But Bruin, Jai Clark, Conway, Bowes isn't Dangerfield, Selwood.
No, not at all.
Like it was a couple of years ago. So
Bruin is very good. I'm a big fan of Bruin. He's silky.
in 5 years, he'll have a name and a half, and we'll be looking and saying he's a star. Jai Clark's probably the same. I'm not sold on like Jack Bowes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And Parfitt, but they're like every other Geelong role player. They're doing their job.
Yeah. And we'll probably win the flag this year.
Oh no.
I feel like Geelong have a solid midfield.
I reckon that's an average midfield.
You're going to put the team that's 7-0 as an average midfield.
This will be good for TikTok. I think that's an average looking midfield. It's functioning okay, but I think on paper that looks average.
Caden MacDonald says Geelong has an average midfield. Rip into him.
I'll probably win the clearances and dominators still on the weekend, but
All right, let's swiftly move on. That was tense. Gold Coast. I would say Gold Coast have a very good midfield. Rao, Anderson, Took Miller.
yeah.
Flanders has been incredible the last sort of year and a half. Couple disappointing performances in the last couple of weeks, but if you're looking at a midfield to win your premiership, that has everything you need.
Yeah. I like it.
Beautiful. Let's go with the Sydney Swans. Errol Goulden, one of my favourite players to watch in the competition with Chad Warner, James Rowbottom, Isaac Heaney, one of the Brownlow favourites at the
best
minute.
player in the comp.
But you got Taylor Adams running through there, Grundy knocking it down to
James Jordan.
Jimmy Jordan. God, it's got to be an elite midfield, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's funny, like, you're looking at the caliber of teams with very good and elite midfields. They're all top 8. Like, they're all pushing for the top 8.
Except for Geelong.
Well,
the team on top of them all.
They've been an anomaly in the AFL for a long time in a range of different reasons. But it just shows how important like having a very strong engine room is.
For sure. Let's chuck Sydney Swans in elite.
Well, does Giants go in as well?
Tom Green has been an absolute bull since the day he stepped onto the AFL scene. Finn Callahan. We're watching him play against the Lions the other night, and I'm just going, this kid's the best player in the comp. Gets like 4 disposals in a chain of ball movement from half back and ends up setting up the forwards. Cal Ward, 300 gamer, and then Josh Kelly, got Stephen Cadillo rolling through there, and a bunch more as well. So GWS, probably right up there in the elite category, I'd say.
Yeah, they'd have to be. Yeah, they definitely have to be.
Ahead of Sydney, I'd say, even.
Yeah.
How do you rate St Kilda's midfield?
I don't.
No, neither.
No, that's a bit harsh. Going to be a good midfield in a few years' time. I think Winhager, Owens, and Philippou is going to be a star-studded mid, but it's 2024, not 2028. Yeah. So, yeah, Jack Steele's one of the best players in the comp. Jack Sinclair is pretty handy. Seb Ross is a good average player. I'd put him in solid or average.
Average. You can't put him above the Cats.
Jack Steele would be the best midfielder at the Cats if he was there.
Yeah, but Essendon have Zach Merritt, so that sort of... I'm chucking the Saints in average, man. They're not solid. They don't. Their midfield doesn't win them games. They're
not sure what does at the moment.
AFL Midfields ranked. Comment down below what you guys thought, what we got wrong, what you would change. What do you reckon, Dozzy? How have we done?
Well, I reckon the D's being that low will spark some comments. Hopefully D's fans get involved. I'm really happy with the pause. I think people will question why Adelaide are that far down, but I'm pretty happy with how that looks.
Thanks for joining me.
No worries.
We're filming a couple more vids on your channel, so go 100%. Check them out. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care. You plonkers.